I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching the Apothecary Diaries, Season 1, Episode 4. I am really into the show. Last episode I was kind of crying at the end of the episode for Concubine Fuyo, even though I had really no time with her to be able to feel the way that I did about her.
Love does that.
Yeah. And now going forward, it seemed like we're going to be in contact with the Emperor. It seemed like the Emperor was the one who reached out to Gyokyu for, Gyokyu's apothecary, Mao Mao. And I'm a little bit anxious. I'm hoping it doesn't have anything to do with the conversation that, they were having. It didn't seem like it because it seemed like the eunuch had already left. We already talked about it in the discussion.
I'm really nervous about the Emperor kind of entering into the story. I think that adds a lot of risk and a heavy responsibility, even more so, might be added to Mao Mao's back in terms of her working as an apothecary and a lady in waiting. I think that things could get much more tense and maybe even life-threatening with the Emperor in the mix, and that is pretty scary to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with how dangerous it could be in terms of territory because totally different ballpark. Obviously, this is still extremely important and risky, but we're really ramping up the stakes. We don't know much, if anything, about the Emperor other than kind of theorizing that through Jinshi, we think that they might be very close to each other, trusted, and then obviously Gyokyu's his favorite, so that's really all we can go off of.
All we know is his taste in women, basically, and who he might trust.
Yeah.
And that says nothing really about the personality or the actual kindness of the man. If anything, I am maybe a little more worried about how he is as an actual man and a love interest by how Gyokyu felt after seeing Concubine Fuyu kind of get to go off and be with the person that she loves.
Yeah, it wasn't setting the Emperor up to be that kind of person.
That's not a mutual love relationship
but
there.
At the opposite end of it, nothing's been glaringly bad that we've heard from Gyokyu. I'm waiting this episode to see if Gyokyu says anything to Mao Mao about the temperament of the Emperor. I'm a little nervous though.
Just quick two things that I realized in editing the episodes that we recently put out. Episode 2 is the episode where we are basically investigating the poisoning of the food with the soldiers. We have not been introduced to Lady Fuyu yet because the sleepwalking or fake sleepwalking is introduced at the very end of episode 2. But with the plot line of the soldiers being introduced, you see Lady Fuyu at the very beginning of episode 2 looking out the window, wistfully in the same way that she is in episode 3. And I remember thinking that it was Lady Luiha, because that's the only person that we'd met who looked maybe similar, because Gyokyu has pink hair, so obviously very different.
Wow.
And it makes me want to examine closer the beginnings and endings of each of these episodes. Are they really they're bringing in plot lines both at the ending, as we said, oh, is this telling us what's happening next episode? But they might also be kind of feeding the seeds of what's going to come.
Episodes in advance,
even at the beginning of episodes. And so that's an exciting thing to kind of look out for. Characters that we might not have recognized before, or what part they might play in the story. Another thing that I realized is I went into this series having somewhat of an idea, very vaguely, of what it might be about. And then I was falling asleep the other night and I looked down and I have a to be read stack of books by the side of my bed. And the book that was on the top, I realized I had bought it at the same time that I bought volume 1 of the Apothecary Diaries, and it's called A Magic Steeped in Poison. And it's similar in I would say it's similar in story slightly, or situation. And I'm like, now I need to go back and read the back of volume 1 of Apothecary sometime in the future to see where if I mix them up at all.
Interesting.
Or if they're just like so similar.
Did you read any of the one next to your bedside?
No, it's in the to be read pile.
So both of them, you've just read the backs.
Yeah. And I bought them in a very similar time period. The cover art was like amazing.
Why were you into poison?
I love this idea of like poison.
Do I need to be scared? Oh God. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. This song's been stuck in my head for a week.
I think it deserves to be.
The threat. Why is Mao Mao feeding Lady Lu Hao?
I was about to say, she's acting way more.
Oh shit. For the famous apothecary. Whoa, look at his eyes.
And if she's unable to do so.
All of the other ladies in waiting are gonna come to Mao Mao's defense and beat the shit out of them.
It's about to be a brawl.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it's freaking scary. This is not a good thing.
Aw, I love how Mao Mao waves. This dude is trying his best. The Emperor asked!
I'm confused why the message wasn't passed on to the ladies in waiting.
That's a lot of mercury.
She really does not look like she's doing well.
What? How? Oh my God. I hate these people.
It was the prince, you know?
Jinchi. She just fainted.
They weren't ignoring the Emperor's orders. Then what was it?
God, they're all staring daggers. What?
She's still being poisoned. The eunuchs were supposed to get rid of all of it.
Oh shit, Mao Mao! Oh my god!
そのうち全身に毒が回るだろう。よかったな。これでお前も綺麗になれるぞ。お主体するリファ様と同じだ。血抜けの失せた肌と落ちくぼんだ眼下と食事も取れないような体。なんでこれが禁止されたか分かってんのか。だってリファ様が喜ぶと思った。毒だっつってんだろ。何も考えていない。自分が一番正しいと思って。誰が自分のガキ殺した毒を喜ぶんだよ。さっさと口をゆすいで顔も洗ってこい。あの床もさっさと掃除しろ。
What's Jinshi's reaction gonna be?
女とは本当に恐ろしいな。
Oh God!
She couldn't help herself, you know?
She was, I mean, I would have been fucking pissed too, but that was so tense.
Mmm.
ことあるごとに茶を飲ませた。商用の回数を増やし、体の毒を排出させる。リファ様が嫌がっておられるのでは。いえ、飲まねばダメです。一度に食べる量が増えると、少しずつ米粒の量を増やし、それも嚥下できるようになると、汁物とおろした果物を加えた。あの時の次女は、謹慎を言い渡されたと聞いた。
Wow.
白いはリファ様のため隠し置いていたものだったらしい。回収し損ねた宦官は、ムチ打ちの刑に。
Wow.
My God, I did not think that powder was gonna come back into the
No, me
story.
They're all from Goshen. Are they an aphrodisiac? Or no? We're gonna say no.
Sorry, Jinshi, Goshen's more Mao's type.
Look at Goshen in the background. Ah,
okay.
Interesting.
Look how tired Mao looks.
I love the effort that she's putting in and how she's gradually upping everything she's...
How much she cares. You had the will to eat.
Wow. God, it's crazy how you have to push your body like this. Like, I get, like, sitting in a steam bath is gonna make you feel like shit, but it's so necessary for her right now to rid the poison.
Wow, the ladies in waiting have probably never been in the, like, servant laundry cleaners area.
The assistant cook was getting better.
水をもらえないだろうか。2ヶ月ほど過ぎると、リファ様は一人で散歩できるまでになっていた。
Good. Still
自
tired.
尊心はあるが高慢ではない。東宮のあれこれで嫌なお嬢様を想像していたのだが、実際は妃にふさわしい人格を持っていたようだ。
Lady Luha?
So それでは明日の早朝に辞させていただきます。ねえ、私はもう怖なさない。
Oh, after what? Using that powder even more.
わかりません。
What's the answer?
試してみればよろしいかと。帝の寵愛はついえたのに。私は帝の命でここに来ました。
That means his love isn't gone.
忠告の言葉も聞かず、みすみす我が子を殺した女が玉葉妃に勝てるのかしら。世には100、1000の花がありますが、ボタンと桔梗のどちらが美しいかは決めつけるものではないと思います。他のものがあれば問題ない。それだけの大きさはもとより、針、形は四方です。
Mau Mau.
それでは失礼いたします。
Tired Mau Mau holds nothing back.
リファ様に伝えた置き土産はかつて遊郭の姉ちゃんたちの教えて
From the brothel?
技術である。
Oh my god.
残念ながらそれに足るような2つの果実を持ち合わせていないし、リファ様にこそふさわしいものだな。
I love how embarrassed she got.
ただいま戻りました。おかえりなさい。マオマオ大丈夫？
They were probably so worried about her.
ほど大変だったのね。
帝の直命を一人でやり遂げるとはなかなかのものだな。
Safely, with her head intact.
その後、
Goshen's little look at Jinchi.
極端に減った時期があった。やっと睡眠不足から解放されるわ。まあまあ、目を泳がせたのはまた別の話である。
Magic Man.
呪いだ。
Goddamn curses. Okay, that was the Apothecary Diaries, Season 1, Episode 4. What'd you think?
I thought so many positive things
Yeah.
about this episode. But then I also, for most of the episode, had a bit of tension, fear type feelings because of really getting to see the Emperor and knowing that Mau Mau was doing kind of something that the Emperor was bidding, an imperial order. That idea that she's now being trusted in that way is very scary to me. And the Emperor didn't look like the most friendly of men, with the eyes being red too, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ooh, okay. Is he nice?
Yeah. You know, watching this show, especially this episode, makes me feel like some days I don't eat the best and my diet isn't the best. I am currently drinking a low-carb monster. Now, if Mau Mau is here, I feel like she'd slap the shit out of me. I feel like I need to get warm tea and sit cross-legged and sip that warm tea, or Mau Mau's gonna hate me.
Just calmly.
I feel like I want to be healthier because of Mau Mau. I love her so much. I didn't really know what her disposition was gonna be when it came to any type of real risk, because she was saying things like, oh, it's only a matter of time before I lose my head, because she wasn't able to actually get in to see Lady Li Hua.
Lihua.
Lihua. I will get
think
better.
I'm pronouncing it correctly.
But once she was able to get in there, like it was like a switch was flipped that she wasn't even like. It's not even like a care in the world about herself. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you fucking serious? Like, I was so fearful that for some reason Mao Mao was going to be wrong, or it was going to be the wrong powder or something. And that was so unfounded for me to be fearful of that, because Mao Mao knows what the fuck she's talking about.
This episode really did call back the first episode, really, the whole white powder kind of fiasco and idea, with not only the white powder itself coming back and Lady Luihua coming back, but the idea of ignorance.
Yeah.
That of course, so we have in the first episode, Gyokyu's this character who views ignorance as a sin. We have a line in the first episode from Mao Mao about, I think, wanting to feign ignorance because it was like safer that way, in not wanting anyone to know that she could read or write. But here we have her, I think, kind of, what we have is someone who shouldn't be ignorant. These ladies in waiting, specifically the one that was still using the white powder, had every reason to have not been ignorant. They had been told that this was poison. A eunuch was supposed to come and collect this and rid the rear palace of this powder. There is no, you can't feign ignorance here, because you knew, but you just didn't believe.
There's no way that the eunuchs would have taken the powder away without explaining the reason why, right? They have to have been like, this is banned, it's poisonous, right? Like that communication has to have happened.
But there's multiple steps. There would have had to have been something like that, but also knowing that all of the ladies in waiting were behind Luihua when Gyokyu went and told Luihua. Of course the ladies in waiting would have been there when Gyokyu went to go tell her, like, this white powder is poisoning, like, our children.
Yeah.
So the ladies in waiting have probably heard more than once that this poison was bad. It's just amount of their belief of how bad it is. And somewhere in here, this lady in waiting, I'm trying to truly understand how she could have, why she did this. Okay, so I know she wants her to be happy.
So that's why I like brought up, like, there's no way that, like, they have to have, like, it would, like, this lady in waiting, without a doubt, 99.99% was told at least one time that this powder was poisonous.
Yes, because then even the eunuch was punished.
Yes. So, therefore, that helps reinforce the idea that I think the lady in waiting just prioritizes, like, immediate happiness in her own worldview. Like, that she needs to be beautiful because she wants to be desired. I'm going to make sure that happens. And it's just the lack of awareness to think like what the causality of doing this could be. Like, there's no even thinking there other than just, I want to make her happy, and then it stops there for some reason.
Right, like the line of severity. If anything, this lady in waiting is probably more focused on the fact that since the prince died, the emperor hasn't been to visit Lady Luihua.
Yeah.
And we get that idea at the end of the episode with Lady Luihua asking if the emperor, you know, if she'll be able to have a kid again.
You know, I think it's very easy to dunk on the lady in waiting and all the other ones there too, and they deserve it for a bit. But I do, like, from you know, I would understand, like, the logic of, like, obviously it's incorrect, but, oh, we have to give her her favorite foods because we need to get some food in her, and there might be a chance that she'd want to eat her favorite thing in the world right now. Like, I understand that, and I get that, and that's not lost on me.
If you wanted to coax someone to eat that was becoming very frail, you would think that it would be easiest to convince them to eat if it was something they really loved. All your favorite foods. I can totally understand, like, that line of thinking.
Especially if somebody doesn't know better and they're not in the medical field, or they don't know anything about, like, half of the things that Mao Mao does, you know? I think one of my favorite parts of this entire episode was the process, like, and how detailed and specific Mao Mao was to us in the ingredients she was using to up like the rice water, to up the porridge, to add in more things. And you have to really start from basically zero and work your way up. And as you're working your way up, you're hitting goalposts and you are making progress. It's not an overnight thing because Lady Liwa getting here wasn't an overnight thing. No. It was a gradual decline, and it's going to have to be a gradual incline.
And the idea that at first the ladies in waiting are like, oh my god, is she in pain? You keep like forcing her to drink this tea. And Mao Mao's like, it doesn't really matter if she's in pain right now. She needs to continuously drink this tea every chance we can get her to so she can flush this poison out of her system.
That was a great line, along with this is no time for manners in how Mao Mao was actually feeding her. It was just like spoonful after spoonful.
I really did love seeing the change in Mao Mao's kind of mannerism. And I think that the reason why... Normally, if you saw a character kind of acting maybe more violently or harshly or severely, it might be hard to swallow. But I think that when it comes from a place of care and like genuine, like you are killing this person, how could you be like, open your eyes? But then what does Mao Mao do? Mao Mao obviously does this amazing bit of dunking the white powder onto the lady in waiting. But she then goes... Gotta wash that all off, do this, you'll be fine kind of thing.
She dragged that lady across the floor by her hair. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
But that's the best way to in the most caring way possible to get a point across. If, obviously, you have to do something severe if it's been months that this person has been being poisoned.
Yep.
Slowly in the same way. You need to get your point across. You need to show the actions and the consequences and be like really in your face. Like you need to think about these things before you do them. Like this could have cost her life. But then you still have the care and empathy to know that people can grow and learn and are willing to acknowledge their mistakes, hopefully, and be like, okay, and now you just have to wash your body off. We're gonna get some good ventilation in here. I in my mind, Mao Mao absolutely understood that the ladies in waiting did love and care for Lady Liwa and wanted the best for her, but was able to make those judgments and observations from afar in terms of like the diet, right? Being like, I see what you're doing. That's not really the right approach though. And then once it turns on it's not just you like giving bad help or advice to try to make her better. It's you literally poisoning her and making it worse. That's that's the line. I'm gonna fucking drag you across the floor. You are fucking this whole thing up. You are killing her. That kind of segue of one and the other of Mao Mao kind of looking at the food critically and kind of saying what is in it and how that would, not be helpful to Lady Liwa, to then coming closer and realizing that that's not the only thing that these ladies in waiting are doing that is not helping, and that it's a more severe step. I think that I'm still so shocked that the white powder came back into the picture. And I think that that was a really nice, in terms of adding surprises or twists into a show, until Mao Mao, basically started wiping the powder herself, I was not going there in my brain. I was going more so with the stress of losing your baby, you know? That was the prince and the emperor possibly going to be discarding you, especially after last episode with concubine Fuyu. That idea that how dishonorable it would be normally to be betrothed off to someone else when the emperor doesn't want you anymore. Yeah. That's the direction I was going. It was more of an emotional state.
That would have been harder for somebody like Mao Mao to fix, Right. Yeah. I feel like it's genius. If you were to ever bring Lady Liwa back into the story, this would be the only way to do it without us having a slight disdain for her. You know what I mean? It's obviously it's said at the end of the episode, like, about that interpretation of her, but because of what she was going through, you absolutely can fucking understand why she was in that state of mind, at least somewhat. And it's so fascinating that Mao Mao can bring about such a grand change in every type of atmosphere 4 episodes into the show. And also, like, the Emperor, like, obviously Lady Liwa was like, will he ever touch me again? Will he ever want me again? And Mao Mao made a great point to remind her that he was the one who specifically, asked Mao Mao to help.
Yeah, the idea of, like, does he have any love left for her? Well, like, to want her to not wither away and die shows he has so many freaking concubines, and she's not raising his heir. The heir died.
Yep.
So he has no reason other than a care and a not wanting her to die to request this new apothecary, this person other than the doctor. Well, honestly, that's a question for you. Because I think Mao Mao brought it up somewhere in here about how we're tasking Mao Mao with this because the doctor couldn't figure it out.
It was like, it was more direct about Mao Mao's inner monologue about, like, wow, he must not trust the doctor.
He must not trust the doctor. Because I feel like if the doctor was allowed in here, would he have noticed that the powder was being used?
Maybe not. Depends how close he would have been able to, like, get to her, or if he would have thought to even, like, touch her face in that way.
But I think that is interesting, that idea that the doctor probably hasn't even come to see her.
I would have assumed that the doctor would have.
I would have assumed that too, but
I feel like there was time before this,
Right.
Like, during the span of last episode even, I'm sure the doctors made visits and just couldn't figure it out.
Well, then I wouldn't trust the doctor either. Except to make you tea and snacks and let you use all of his ingredients.
I mean, but, like, I don't 1,000%, like, blame the doctor if he wasn't able to catch it, because for all he knows, there's no chance it could be the makeup anymore because everything's been taken away.
I guess, but I also feel like a doctor would have, like, it was so easily wiped off her face. And if they trusted the doctor, especially over Mao Mao, you'd think the doctor would have gotten up close and personal, maybe checked the heartbeat, I don't know, checked the breathing, given some sort of physical exam.
But just because there's some face powder doesn't necessarily mean it's the same face powder that's poisonous.
It could have been a lie of, like, what it was.
It could have been a different type of face powder that didn't have that ingredient.
That's so true. Like, it's not like they're gonna stop using face powder in general.
Yeah.
That makes sense that it could have been a lie that it wasn't the same face powder, and it's not like anyone other than maybe, like, Mao Mao or some other concubine that uses face whitening powder would be able to tell that was the specific one.
I love how rumors and just, like, talking works within this world of the Apothecary Diaries. Like, 3 episodes in, the Emperor, has enough of, like, a solid trust through his concubine and the other people around him that this famous apothecary is around, and that trust is built up enough to try to help Lady Liwa. It's crazy.
It's very obvious to me that Jinshi has to have passed on some sort of reports to the Emperor about this. I feel like Jinshi really is, like, Jinshi's his eyes on the rear palace.
Yeah.
That's kind of Jinshi's job here, as the test, but also, like, the man kind of, making sure everything's going well, that everyone's happy, everyone's taken care of, no one's doing anything disrespectful to the Emperor. And that would make me think that Jinshi's also kind of the source of the rumor or knowledge for the Emperor about the apothecary. It would make sense that it would more quickly be told to him, especially with Jinshi's kind of already his respect and, like, admiration and interest in Mao Mao.
Yeah.
That it would be passed on even quicker. Because I would think, in theory, that this would have come very quickly. being told to the Emperor if it wasn't for Jinshi and maybe his position and his possible closeness to the Emperor and his current interest in Mao Mao.
Jinshi was very helpful this episode, like about the steam bath. I thought that was sweet. He got it like right on it, and I'm glad that that's what Mao Mao was asking for. Like Mao Mao's eyes are on the prize like all the time.
I like the touch of having her look a little, have the like circles under the eyes and be so tired. And then that brought me to one of my favorite scenes in the episode.
Oh,
I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mao Mao lays down on a bench, falls asleep, and as soon as I saw that hand and the color of the dress, I was like, no way. As you said earlier, this was a great episode that if you were going to try to get rid of any disdain the viewer has towards Lady Luha because of the first episode with Gyokyu and because of like knowing that she could have saved her kid if she had listened to Gyokyu.
Yeah.
This was the best way to kind of show us the real humanity of her. Like, she probably was a very sheltered and spoiled princess, but she also is kind. And the idea that, think of her at that time that she was mad at Gyokyu. Like, if she had, obviously, we can tell, so much love for this child that she had given birth to, she herself was ill, was sick, was ill, and her baby was dying. The amount of distrust for the world, for everyone, for herself that she's gonna have, that no one can fix her or her baby. And then as soon, like, she's not gonna trust anyone at that point. There's so much fear there. She's gonna be so scared about her kid, and then she's not gonna heed the warnings that are given. And Gyokyu's her direct competition. I mean, even towards the end, we're reminded that that's how the concubines really do view each other, is that they are a competition for the Emperor's love and affection.
Yeah.
At the end, with her wondering if the Emperor is going to show interest in her again, it's reminding us that, of course, she wouldn't immediately listen to Gyokyu or have so much trust in Gyokyu because she doesn't truly know Gyokyu. She doesn't know her personality. She doesn't know if she can be trusted. They are kept separately in different pavilions. They are almost kept to be in competition with each other.
Yeah. I thought of something like bringing it back to what you thought could be the issue with Lady Liwa and it not being the powder, and you thought that it could be something emotionally because of like the loss of a child. That's what Mao Mao thought too. Like in my interpretation of like, yeah, she prepared the food in what she thought was the right way, but through her first interaction of feeding Lady Liwa, she was able to check that box off the list by being like, okay, she tried to eat. She has the desire to live, I like that's number one. And I really like that.
I feel like I'm probably right in guessing that one of your other favorite moments in this episode was when Lady Luha asked Mao Mao why she is basically saving her, why she's helping her. And Mao Mao was like, well, you ate.
Yeah.
You had the will to live. Like, why didn't you just let me die? I think is what Lady Luha said.
Mao Mao left with telling Lady Liwa some words of wisdom.
From the brothel.
Was
so cute. Her reaction after Mao Mao had left the room and she just kind of like burst into that blush and all the ladies were like, Lady Liwa, what's
There
happening?
were several background character reactions this episode that were hilarious. Like some of the ladies in waiting.
Goshen,
Goshen. Some lady in waiting for Lady Liwa, just fainting. We had the cook being really stressed out trying to understand all the ingredients that he needs from Mao Mao. So good. That's all I have.
Just the last thing. As obviously we should talk about the ending, kind of bringing in the possible next narrative. And on that topic, I just kind of want to sum up something that we realized from this episode, which is that Mao Mao, we're always going to stick to the narrative that Mao Mao is an apothecary and able to point out poisons or prove curses or rumors or myths to be they're having real world solutions or real world diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I think that if I had thought a little bit more about that in this episode specifically, I wouldn't have thought that Mao Mao could really help someone who was suffering emotionally over the loss of their child. So with that in mind, going into this next curse, what is it? And how can Mau Mau fix it?
I don't know.
It's something on the hands.
Yeah, it reminds me of Mau Mau's
something.
bandages. They were burning something that definitely, it was a few people. It was like 7 or 8 people. And
are they sticks that they're burning?
Flame was changing various different colors. I feel like it could be like something to do with like a gaseous poison, potentially.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
Just from holding whatever it was itself, or what? I mean, we know that the eunuchs were the ones that were supposed to dispose of the white powder. What else do they have to dispose of?
It's a good question. You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.